Welcome to the Obvious Podcast. This is episode number 74. My name is Sonny Macon.
I'm Peter Dyga, President and CEO at ABC Florida East Coast. Happy Friday. Oh, let's get into this. Now you got me doing it.
No, I got you doing it.
So we got our obligatory
language we need to.
Stuff.
Yeah. So you're listening or watching the Obvious Podcast, where all opinions expressed are our own, unless we say otherwise.
Love the show. Subscribe on any major podcast platform or watch us in action on YouTube. Follow the Obvious Podcast on Instagram, X, Truth Social, and now TikTok. All the links you need are in the show notes. Reach out to us anytime at theobvious@abceastflorida.com. And if you're enjoying the ride, help others find us by leaving us a review wherever you listen. All right. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
So it's good to see you again.
Likewise.
Thank you, listeners and viewers. We appreciate you
joining us.
Yep.
The other day, a friend of mine who is in Texas, I've known her since my days at Georgetown, posted a little clip of George Bush, the son, and Bill Clinton. They were at some conference talking to each other, having a very friendly conversation. And she made this point about how much she misses politics, where we all got along, right? And that was
much I do not miss.
That was my reaction.
And it's still trying to poke it and assert itself.
Right.
The whole,
of course,
But this, can't we just go back to where we were just all talking about fraud and really not do anything about it? That would be a much better time.
Sort of the.
By the way, I'm not sure how much we're actually doing about it, but I think there are some interests that actually would like to do more about it.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, I don't know. It's
whack-a-mole.
Yeah. It's like anytime somebody tries to break free of that traditional, just get along. Times were better when we were all just got along. We all just talked about the things that the public didn't like, but we never really did anything about it.
Exactly. Right. So, I came to age under Reagan, and I just, now that I look back and I look at the Bushes, what do they do? Besides go to war and get a bunch of people killed, what did they do? They never did anything to sort of advance American values or American prosperity. They just kind of went along.
So let's do a thought experiment.
Okay.
What's the first word that comes to mind? Ronald Reagan.
Impactful.
Jimmy Carter.
Loser. I'm sorry. That was the first word that came.
I was looking for more policy things. Let's try again. Give me policy implications. Policy
failure.
Okay. Failure.
Disaster. Ineffective.
Yeah.
I'm
thinking inflation.
Inflation.
The
botched Iranian hostage issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So with Reagan, what is he going to be remembered for?
The Berlin Wall.
Wise.
Berlin Wall.
Excellent. Perfect example. Yeah. Perfect example. All right. So let's think of. So now, if I go to one of the Bushes, I don't.
The Bush the father?
Yeah.
Nothing. Literally.
What can you think of?
He says,
be remembered for?
No new taxes, and then he raised taxes.
And then he did.
Mm-hmm. Read my lips.
Great. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. So who did we have? In between? Was that Clinton?
Clinton.
So what Clinton? What do you remember? What was he known for?
Monica Lewinsky, the advent of the internet, booming stock market.
Okay.
Because he got lucky. he happened to be there
during that when the time in Silicon Valley, right?
Yep.
I think that was a
contract with America with the welfare reform.
Oh, because he had the Republican legislature for the first time in
Newt Gingrich
Reconstruction or something.
Yeah, it's just the Reconstruction. Yeah. Newt Gingrich was like, "We're going to do something effective," and he
remember that. Yeah.
I saw a speech that he gave.
And is there any doubt that Trump? Trump will be remembered for. Now, it's the second term is still to be determined, right? I suppose. But if you were to just do it now or even the first year, my gosh, the boom and the America First and and that's really the point of this episode, right? We want to kind of talk a little bit about the realignment or the reassessment of what it means to be a Democrat, what it means to be a Republican, what it means to be, right? And he might be remembered for that.
Yep.
Because he is starting. He's the reason why I think this conversation is happening.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
And you have some people that are like, we want to go back to the good old days when, Republicans were just a counter voice where we talked about, well, we're for small government, but then did nothing about
Did
it.
nothing about it. Did nothing about it. Did like,
Or we're for free trade, but all we really did was unbalanced trade that killed
And we
American
shipped-
blue collar and middle class jobs.
and we shipped American middle class overseas.
Yeah, so if anybody ever says we're not critical of the right, I mean, how many times have we talked about
A lot,
you know?
and I have a lot of contempt for sort of the traditional Republican party. You know what it stands for, what it has actually done, the way it has ignored data, especially when it comes to outsourcing and trade, and how they have literally just destroyed the Midwest. The Rust Belt, the parts of the Sun Belt states.
So I sidetracked you a little bit, but so anyway, try to get back to your. I mean, the point of this podcast. You had read an article, I think, or
Yeah,
there was
the Wall Street Journal editorial back in December that I had read, and the editorial was kind of talking about the traditional conservatives, right, and how there was this big.
Now there's this counter.
Yeah, the Heritage Foundation has been traditionally sort of the leading think tank for right of center issues.
Those that have never heard of them, they were like. I mean, I remember reading and subscribing to their. I don't know if it was monthly or quarterly or what it was. Publication. I mean, these are the things that I cut my teeth on. In terms of politics. But yeah, they were the thought leader. In the conservative movement and. I remember back in the 80s, the articles they would talk about privatization of Social Security and school choice. And, they were really the thought leaders in helping develop what it meant to be a conservative and in general Republicans, right? So, but now there's concern amongst some about what it means, how Trump is changing that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's interesting. I think a lot of the Republicans, sort of what I call or what we call country club Republicans, have started calling Trump a protectionist, right? Because they are so wedded to this idea that free markets are the only way to go. And this is what annoys the crap out of me, is that they ignore all of the data that clearly shows the damage done by their version of free trade. This
Were we wrong all along? I mean, when I was younger and, we were all behind free trade, or is it our perception and our understanding of
No, we were wrong, because the fundamental
really
thing,
what we should have been for was fair trade.
fair trade, because the fundamental thing you need in free trade is every country that participates needs to have free trade. That is the only way it works, right?
Right.
But when you have countries that aren't free,
That's what fair trade means. It
Right.
means everybody's kind of
making decisions
doing on the same terms.
exactly.
So.
But it is, you can't say.
But if you don't have that, it's maybe good for the consumer because you get a lot of cheap, free, cheap crap.
Right.
But otherwise, it's not so good when
But then
you
the number of
realize
consumers
a
that can
decade or
afford-
2 decades later.
But the number of consumers that can afford shrinks dramatically,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I used to use this
So there's a
example.
battle going on. That's the point of this Wall Street Journal article. There's Mike Pence, I think, has started a counter Heritage Foundation, which again now probably going on 40 or 50 years. They've kind of been for those that kind of were inside baseball and politics and policy and whatnot. They were the leaders.
Yeah.
But Mike Pence and others are saying they now are no longer for the Heritage Foundation for free trade and for
Well, they're saying
globalist
heritage.
or,
Heritage is not protectionist, right?
That's what they're claiming.
They're claiming heritage is
So they're not for globalism or intervention and
They're and because they're no longer supporting heritage is no longer and obviously you can give credit to Trump for this. Heritage no longer supports endless foreign wars.
right.
That they are no longer for, and this is how they say it, robust American foreign policy. Right?
That's not the irony there. I would argue if you look back on I'm looking forward a little bit, but I'd be willing to bet you'd look back on the Trump administration and you cannot say he didn't have a robust foreign policy. It's just different. It's not the same kind of robustness and the same kind of activity that they wanted
Right.
or they supported for years and years and years. Right. So,
well, I mean, there's another thing that we should just kind of state on the record.
The left's the same way. I mean, they're all for, of course, interventionists. It's just their type of intervention.
We call them limousine liberals.
So,
right. Sure. And to me, there's no difference between a limousine liberal and a country club Republican. It's the same. Yeah. You know, I think one of the reasons why Trump has resonated the way he's resonated is he's really not a Republican. I mean, he's in a very...
Not in the traditional sense. Yeah, he's...
very much a pragmatist. Very much a pragmatist. Yeah. And to him...
Well, America first. I think that's it.
Right. To him...
Well, they want to ridicule him for that. I think that's really what drives every decision.
Yeah.
It's good for America. So
in a way, he's also for the collective.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue that, right?
Yep. I think we've made that argument in previous podcasts. So there really is no difference between Mandami
and Trump,
the two ends of the political spectrum. They both publicly claim that they want what's best for the collective. The collective for Mandami right now is, the residents of New York City, I suppose. Right. The collective for Trump is, America. Is America first. The difference is how they get there.
Yeah, but Mamdani hates white people. I mean,
that's pretty significant.
That's
now the left claims Trump's a racist too, but this gets back to a previous podcast too. Give me some data. Don't give me your anecdotal, whatever. So any event.
And that's crazy
to me. If that doesn't get us some email, I don't know what will. But in any event, they're not any different, right?
I've had Indians tell me Trump hates brown people. I'm like, have you ever been to his private country club? There's a ton of Indian members there, right? I mean, he's got him in his cabinet, right? The guy who runs the FBI is a friggin' Patel. Like there is enough, I guess, anecdotal evidence to share with you that he's not a racist. I mean, I know people who know him.
Anyway,
and
subject for another show.
Yeah, it's a different topic. But
so, how does this impact? So, all right. So there's a struggle. There's a battle.
There's a battle in for the Republican definition of words because words matter. Mm-hmm. But what I really am fascinated by is this concept, and especially on free trade, that if you look back, sort of when free trade really kicked it into high gear, which was around Nixon going to China and then sort of the liberalization that started then, right? The whole concept was, we get access to Chinese markets. I mean, my gosh, I've been hearing that for my whole life.
What are we selling there? Chopsticks? I think we were for a while until Washington put a kibosh on listing.
I mean, we wanted to sell iPhones, but they can't afford them because the average Chinese salary is way too low.
Right. Maybe some agricultural products.
Some soybeans.
Right.
Our soybeans were big time there. Mm-hmm. But in terms of consumer goods, in terms of the Chinese market, like the way we define our market, which is 80% of our market is consumer spending, our GDP is consumer spending. Yeah. That is not true of China because their consumer spending is so low because people are low paid.
Democrats might have exported some Democrat policies and government.
No, they've exported their policies here through our colleges and universities.
I'm just saying, I think the Democrat Party could teach them a little bit about collectivism.
Yeah, that's true.
Central planning. And
yeah. I mean, who was the guy who had a honeymoon in Moscow? Oh, Bernie Sanders.
In Moscow, right?
Moscow, yeah.
Yeah, Tim Walz, I think, actually went, maybe not his honeymoon, but didn't he do teaching gig over in China or Vietnam?
Yeah, he spent a lot of time in China.
Boy, the things we didn't know. What we knew was enough, but the things we didn't know.
This is what irritated me about Mike Pence's thing, Advancing American Freedom Foundation. That's what he calls it, which is like an absurd misnomer.
And again, it's to try. And by the way, I think it's great. We're all for competition.
Yeah.
And there is a competition for the Republican conservative right of center approach. And I think both of us, that's why I'm all for the realignment that Trump is. The limousine liberals and the country club Republicans can have their own party.
Yep.
I'll take the working class, blue collar, hardworking family, from the Democrat side, and the folks on the Republican side that aren't afraid of American activism in the world.
Yep.
Whether it's, we could list off a few things, whether it's Venezuela or his impact in our hemisphere, because it hasn't just impacted Venezuela, but several other countries as well. I pay particular close attention to Nicaragua because of my ties to Costa Rica. I mean, the dictator there is the same guy Reagan fought friggin' 40 years ago. Ortega and his wife. I mean, they're dictators there. They've got political prisoners, which actually there was a story this week that they just released some because of the administration's pressure and what they did in Venezuela. The leadership has impacts all around the globe. So what's happening in Colombia, and you've seen stories about the actual elections as well, where the countries have elected more right-of-center people.
Yeah.
We even alluded to, I think, in a previous podcast that Trump tried to exert influence in one of them, and people were like screaming, like, "Oh, who are you to try to exert influence in a foreign election? What are we supposed to do as a country? We give them millions of dollars in aid, and we're supposed to just sit back and say, go ahead, elect a dictator." He told them, if you don't make the right decision, our money's taking a hike. He has every right. I'm glad we have a president that actually...
He understands how to use leverage.
That's right. So it's not like he's an isolationist, which a lot of people want to point like there's a struggle going on. He's just not for those endless wars.
But people on our side say that, which is what drives me nuts.
They do.
There's people on our side who are calling him an isolationist.
Why is this important to ABC?
Because economic prosperity has a huge impact on our members.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
And
economic prosperity. And not only that, but we have a long-standing tradition of trying to elect people who, will have a good relationship with, so that, they'll think of calling ABC before they file a bill or before they vote on a bill. Ask, how does this impact your members? Making sure that we elect people that understand our industry. Yeah. And if we don't understand electoral politics, we're not going to be able to do that effectively. That's how I think it impacts ABC.
Plus, we're a values-driven organization. Our values are meritocracy and free markets. I mean, those are important values to us. So we want to make sure we define them. We want to make sure we acknowledge sort of the conflict within our own camp. And we kind of talk about what matters to us as an organization, because that's what matters to our members.
Right. I mean, at our core is meritocracy.
Absolutely.
And merit.
And anything that takes away from meritocracy is something that we will oppose every single time.
That's exactly right. So, we did a recent podcast on, anecdotal.
Yes.
Being led by anecdotal evidence as opposed to
the fallacy
data.
of anecdotal evidence.
Right, as opposed to data. So, and that gets to meritocracy.
100%.
Meritocracy is based on data. It's based on results. It's based on actual evidence,
Yeah, you can't even define meritocracy without data, right? Like you can't even define who's a winner and who's not a winner unless you have accurate data. And that's so important. And I think a lot of these Republicans, the country club Republicans or traditional Republicans or the neocons do, is they just ignore the data.
Yeah.
Because philosophically they feel they're a certain way. And that's what I think that's my biggest problem. Like your philosophy, if it doesn't change based on data, then it's a flawed philosophy.
I remember during the last campaign and the individual conventions, party conventions, and the controversy within ABC inner circles and conversations that were had when the Republicans, I think, invited a labor leader.
Yes.
To speak at the convention. Do you remember that?
AFL-CIO.
Yep. And, it was, again, it gets to this struggle that's going on right now, between, and there's people, and by the way, a lot of people would put us in that camp, right? Because traditionally, a lot of our struggles, our battles, our policy conversations and whatnot, are a management and labor, kind of spectrum or prism, if you will. So my reaction, though, to that was, what did we do to approach the Democrats to ask them for an equal opportunity? Don't complain about what the Republicans did by inviting somebody.
Yeah.
My reaction was, have we as an organization or a party or anybody actually gone to the Democrat Party and said, let somebody from ABC speak at your convention about meritocracy and why it's more important than... Right. That was my reaction. Is like battle for that as opposed to complain about this struggle within our own house, And again, why that's important is the policymakers of the future and how they get elected and whether they get elected is going to be important for us.
Absolutely.
In terms of understanding that. So, any of that.
All right. So To wrap it up, follow the data, right? And don't be so hung up on your philosophy that you ignore data that clearly shows the philosophy isn't working. And there's a lot of that happening, and certainly in sort of the traditional Republican camps.
Yeah. And I think some of the larger scale value propositions that we all need to assess are you more of a believer in free trade or fair trade? Yep. Are you more of a believer in looking out for American interests globally, but not endless wars? I think that's the real conversation being had today. Are you more for the rule of law or
Chaos?
Mm-hmm. Are you more for actually action? Rather than just talking about fraud and abuse and government waste and continuing to talk about it to do nothing? Or do you actually want to support people who are trying to do something, even if the anecdotal stories that the media might portray
Exactly
are going to tug at your heartstrings? Anyway,
listen,
those are decisions ahead of us.
I know we're running out of time, but you remember the USAID controversy when they discovered all this fraud and abuse and nonsense that they were spending taxpayer money on? Mm-hmm. I really got into the weeds on that whole thing. I read a ton of stuff on that. And the only thing I could think of is it made me so angry that no other Republican had ever even talked about it, had even tackled that issue.
Right. Right.
Jobs numbers come out. And if you look at the jobs numbers data monthly, you'll realize one area of job growth that had dominated in the last, 4 years certainly under Biden and definitely under Clinton and Obama was government job growth. Yeah. And that has fallen off a cliff under this president, right? Yeah. And so they're like, oh, he's only adding 20,000 jobs. But that's only because he's not adding government jobs. Right. And that's what they've always, but the media will never look at that.
So when you consider the government jobs that have gone away, he's actually added quite a few private sector jobs.
Exactly. So again, the anecdotal evidence you would hear, especially around the USAID issue, was just amazing. And then the data comes out.
It's fair for me to say sometimes I feel like these discussions revolve around adult conversations versus what a kid would say. It's a parent versus child. It's like,
exactly.
You're going to get that shot. Quit your crying. It's going to do good for you in the long term, and give it some time.
Yeah, the adults are in charge.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I sleep a lot better knowing that.
Yeah, we have to go.
So, okay.
Thank you for listening and honoring us with your time. We look forward to sharing another episode with you next Friday.
And for comments, we ask you to send us an email at theobvious@abceastflorida.com.
Thank you.
Until next Friday. Ciao.